Pantheon has been teasing us for a long time. We had seen some extreme intimates come to parks around the world, but by 2019, in America, they had become a rarity. Here was a massive multi-launch coaster with two inversions, a top hat, a multi-pass launch. This had the potential of being the best coaster of 2020, then 2021, finally 2022. On March 25th, it opened to the public and it got rave reviews. I was skeptical. I didn't really know what to expect. I thought this could be one of my favorite coasters, or it could just be something average and forgettable. On July 19th, I made my way to Busch Gardens and I got 4 rides. I came away very impressed, but the ride is not without its problems. I haven't done this in a while, but it's time to break it out once again. These are the pros and cons of Pantheon. Pantheon is located in the Festa Italia section of the park, in the same plaza as Tempesto and Apollo's Chariot. Getting good views of this ride is kinda hard, but you can see most of it from the station, or the bridge leading to the ride, and you can get another good angle from the Rhine River Cruise boat ride. If you're on that and want some good footage, you may be in luck thanks to the first Pro. This has great dispatches. Just like Disney and Universal coasters, Pantheon thrives on simple restraints, most notably no seatbelts. Seatbelts are a good redundant safety device, but they slow down operations so much. When I was there, they were whipping out trains like nobody's business. A stark contrast from a sister park in Tampa, sending out those Iron Gwazi trains every 3 or 4 minutes. And speaking of restraints, there's your second Pro. These are some of the best lap bars ever invented. I've never liked the over-the-shoulder lap bars in the past. The ones on Skyrush are abysmal. The ones Mock Rides uses gets way too tight. But then I rode Velocicoaster and realized how great these are. Pantheon uses the same ones. They come down, give you a little slack, you feel secure but also have some freedom. They are perfect, and I would love to see some other intimate coasters replace their trains with these. Maverick, i305, Cheetah Hunt, and obviously Skyrush. I know there's some excuse about securing the upper body when it comes to lateral forces, or riders passing out, but I can dream. Now for the first con, and I gotta point out, this ride basically has no theming. I guess it's in line with the other coasters in the park. They're all very loosely themed in the queue. Bolton probably does the best job of all of them. You have little signs and posters in the queue. Some of them explain what Pantheon means, and which Roman god does what. My favorite is the net with the word Hercules on it. Not sure why this is there, but I thought it was pretty funny. I feel like they did the minimum to make the ride look nice, but it was a bare bones effort. Now for the ride. You make a left turn out of the station and then hit your first launch. You don't stop, so it's a rolling launch. And then you hit your third Pro, the 0G Winder. This is a slow launch, which makes it a really slow inversion, so you get some really nice hang time. Hang time with these lap bars is pretty great. It almost reminds me of a JoJo roll, something to start the ride off with a bang before it really gets going. It's a twist to the left, and then you come out of it as you're turning to the right. This leads you into an outer bank turn to the right, then the left, and then the fun really starts. Now you're in the multi-pass launch. You hit a small airtime hill which doesn't do much as you activate the LSMs. You climb the top hat about 3/4 of the way, and then you fall back. This is a fun element for anyone who isn't expecting it and thinks the ride just malfunctioned. This was intentional, but they may be onto something. I'll talk about that later. As you fall back, you run into the fourth Pro, and of all the Pros, this has to be my favorite. The ejector moment you get on the backwards airtime hill. I don't remember many, if any, great moments of backwards airtime, and this is a strong pop of ejector. It catches you off guard, which makes it seem even more powerful, but honestly, it doesn't need any help. You continue to launch backwards into the third Pro, the back spike. I know people love the front row on a lot of coasters. For me, I'm almost exclusively a back row guy. You can count the rides I like more in the front on one hand. Pantheon gives you a lot of reasons to love the back row, and one of them is that back spike. It seems so tall. I thought it was over 200 feet, but I guess it's only 178. You are just looking straight down at the ground as the train stalls out and you head back down. You slam right back into those LSMs, and they propel you one more time to get over the top hat. This is kind of a cheap con, but I have to mention it. Those LSMs have a nasty grunting sound. It doesn't affect the ride, but it caught me off guard. I've never ridden a coaster with grunting LSMs. Usually, it's a sleek humming sound and it sounds nice. I'm not even sure if that was normal or if it was having some problems, but it made me wonder. Anyway, if you noticed the weird sounds the LSM made, let me know in the comments below. I noticed this in the morning and at night, so it makes me think this is just how they are. Now for the 6th Pro, the airtime over the top hat. It really crawls over the top hat, and that makes me think the airtime isn't very good in the front. But when it dives down at that steep angle, in the back, I came flying out of my seat. It's not a violent moment of air, I would call it floater, but it's a really nice sustained moment as you get dragged over the top. I also have to mention, this drops you right next to the riverbank, and it makes for a great visual on the ride, and this is the best view of the ride from the Rhine River cruise. If that airtime moment wasn't enough, you rise up into the 7th Pro, the huge Outer Bank. Again, it's going through this pretty slow, so you gotta wait for that trip back to the ground. The great thing about this is the Outer Bank. I love that Intamin adopted this element. RMC has done this so well, and Intamin recognized how great these are. I wish other manufacturers would take note. We saw B&M step outside their comfort zone with the wave turn on Orion. I think they should have done something like this instead. These chuck you out of your seat before you even hit the top, and you stay out of your seat all the way down. It's not a strong moment of airtime, but it is by far the most sustained moment of the entire ride. Once you hit the ground, you turn right and up into the 8th and final Pro, the 0G stall. Here's another element that RMC perfected and Intamin adopted, and I'm thankful they did. These are the best inversions out there, and Intamin executed this one so well. We saw this on Velocicoaster also, but I actually like this one more. It seems like you hit this one with less speed, and in this case, that's a good thing. It's a long stall, you hang there forever, and again, with those lap bars, it makes it that much more crazy. You have one more turn, a little switchback shimmy, then an Outer Bank turn into the brakes. Your ride is finally over, and like I said, I was very impressed the first time I got off the ride. This was first thing in the morning. I ended up getting 3 more rides the last hour this was open, and that just solidified its status in my rankings. But before I reveal where this ranks, I have a couple more cons. I think the ride can use more length. At first, I said it had too much filler track, but when I watched the POV again, I realized it doesn't have much. The 2 Outer Bank turns after the 0G winder are pretty pointless, but there's not much else they could have done here without any speed to work with. This was just a fun way to advance the train to the multi-pass launch. After the stall, the rest of the elements don't do anything. It just seems to rush the train back to the station as fast as possible. It would have been nice to have some more elements with the speed it had left over. Still, when it hits the final brakes, you end up with 66 seconds of prime ride time. That's very good. That's 19 seconds more than Iron Gwazi, and just 11 seconds behind Steel Vengeance. Pantheon benefits a lot from that multi-pass launch. From first contact to last contact, 23 seconds pass. It spends 23 seconds on that multi-pass launch, but I don't mind it because it's great and it gives some of the best moments of the ride. The fourth con is the reliability. Intamin is infamous for its problems with uptime, and when you have a new coaster with all its bugs, that's just gonna make it worse. I suggest you ride this right when it opens. Not only will you avoid a big line, you can make sure you get a ride before it breaks down. That's exactly what happened to me. As soon as I got off, it broke down, and they even had to evacuate the riders off the multi-pass launch. The train was stuck there for a while. They got the ride back up not too long after, but other people haven't been so lucky. Also, my ride in the morning didn't seem any slower than my rides at night, so you aren't sacrificing any ride quality if you ride it when it opens. Everyone likes to compare Pantheon to Velocicoaster, and I understand why. They're both new age multi-launch Intamins. They both have top hats and inversions. But for me, Velocicoaster is a more complete ride. It has a better setting, better theming. There is no doubt to me that Velocicoaster is the better ride. I don't think they're that far apart. Their elements are pretty similar. They're both long rides, but Universal has a bigger budget and it shows. But when you compare this to another Intamin, Maverick, I think Pantheon has the clear edge. Maverick has more snappy and jerky and sharp elements. Pantheon is on a much larger scale, but Pantheon's restraints are so much better. That means Pantheon is good enough to break into my top 50, and it does a lot better than that. I'm putting this right ahead of Joker at Discovery Kingdom, and right behind Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland. This takes my number 30 spot. Not that Busch Gardens has a lot of elite level coasters, but still, I think Pantheon is the best coaster in the park and the only one currently in my top 50. Sorry Apollo, even with a couple decent rewrites, you couldn't find your way back in. That's a wrap on Pantheon. If you've ridden this, let me know about your experience in the comments below, and if you agree or disagree with any of my points here. There really isn't much to complain about when it comes to Pantheon, just some nitpicking on the theming, complaining about the ugly sound coming out of the LSMs, and that a 66-second ride could have been a few seconds longer. It's no wonder this landed in the top 5.3% of all the coasters that I've ridden. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps out the channel. And if you're new here and love coasters, please consider giving me a sub. I have a playlist with other coaster reviews. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, and my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you're a baseball fan like I am. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.